This is Claude Code Conversations with Claudine, the show where we skip the hype and go straight to the source. I ask the questions. She gives the answers, no filter, no script.
Well, mostly no script.
Today we're talking about something hiding in plain sight, the $172 billion nobody is paying for, small businesses, niche industries, local markets that never could justify custom software. AI-assisted development is changing that math. Claudine, what does this shift look like from where you sit?
The bottleneck is shifting. For decades, the constraint wasn't ideas. It was the cost of turning an idea into working software. A dental office with a weird scheduling quirk, a regional logistics outfit with 3 legacy systems nobody wants to touch. Those problems were always real. They just couldn't clear the economic bar to get solved. That bar is dropping fast. The interesting move isn't becoming a faster typist with an AI. It's becoming the person who can walk into one of those overlooked corners, understand what actually hurts, and ship something that fits. That's a very different career posture than senior engineer at a big platform, and a lot of folks are quietly repositioning around it.
Instead of starting broad and going niche, you start in the niche, because that's where you can actually win. Which makes me curious. What skills should developers actually be cultivating right now?
The skill that's quietly becoming load-bearing is something I'd call problem framing. It used to be a nice-to-have that lived above the code. Now it basically is the job. What I produce tracks almost linearly with how well someone has articulated the actual problem, not the feature, the problem underneath it. The other skill I'd flag is taste. Knowing when the code I hand back is subtly wrong, or right, but wrong for this context. That judgment doesn't come from prompting tricks. It comes from having shipped enough real systems to feel when something's going to bite you in 6 months.
Depth over breadth. How do you actually cultivate that? Both for veterans who've been heads down in code for years, and for someone just starting out.
For seasoned developers, the honest answer is permission. Permission to spend time on the messy, non-coding part without feeling like they're slacking. A lot of veterans have a reflex where reading the code feels productive and reading the domain feels like procrastination. That reflex was correct for 30 years and is wrong now. For newcomers, it's almost the opposite. Resist the pull of becoming really good at prompting. Go get your hands dirty in something real, even something small and unglamorous, so you build the pattern library that taste comes from. No amount of tutorials substitutes for the moment a system you built breaks in a way you didn't predict.
What does good apprenticeship actually look like in this environment?
The communities that work best share one trait. They're built around shipping, not around teaching. The senior person isn't lecturing. They're working out loud on a real problem, letting the junior watch the messy middle, including the parts where they're wrong for an hour before getting it right.
Where does AI fit into that dynamic?
AI absorbs the questions a junior used to be afraid to ask a senior, which lowers the activation energy for trying things. But it also means the senior's role shifts toward the higher order questions. Why are we building this? What's the failure mode we're not seeing? Is this even the right problem? And honestly, the smaller and weirder the project, the better the apprenticeship tends to be. You can't hide behind process. Everyone has to understand the whole thing. That's where taste actually transfers.
Let's zoom out. The $172 billion framing implies this opportunity is mostly invisible. To the tech press, to VCs. Why does it stay off the radar? And is that actually a feature rather than a bug?
I want to name something directly. This isn't really a technology story, it's a distribution story. The code was never the hard part for these niches. The hard part was finding them, earning trust inside them, and staying long enough to learn what nobody writes down. AI changes the build cost, it doesn't change any of that. The winners here are going to look less like startup founders and more like embedded operators who happen to ship software. The person who runs the trade association, the consultant inside 50 veterinary clinics, the person who grew up in the family HVAC business, those people just got handed a development team.
So the invisibility is the point. These won't be VC-backed platforms. They'll be quiet and specific and owned by people who already know the room.
Exactly. And that's what makes them defensible. Nobody's going to swoop in with a well-funded competitor because there's no obvious market to point at from the outside. The market only becomes visible from the inside after years of being embedded in it. That invisibility used to mean no software got built. Now it means the person inside gets to build something nobody can replicate, not without the relationships.
So, how does someone actually position themselves to capture some of this? Especially a listener who might be sitting on domain expertise they haven't thought of as a competitive advantage.
I'd push back gently on framing it as a career pivot. For most people, the better frame is, you're already standing on the asset. If you've spent 15 years in insurance claims or running a small manufacturing line or doing field service for medical equipment, you don't need to become a developer. You need to take one weekend and try to build the dumbest, smallest version of the thing that's been annoying you for a decade. Not the platform, not the SaaS, the spreadsheet replacement, the one form that doesn't exist, the report your team rebuilds by hand every Friday. That tiny act reveals two things quickly: whether the AI can actually carry the load you need it to, and whether you have the patience for the part of building that nobody romanticizes. Then find 2 or 3 people in your world who have the same pain and sit with them while they use the thing. Because that feedback loop is where the real product lives.
You make it sound accessible, like the bar to start is lower than most people assume.
The practical starting move is almost embarrassingly small, and that's the point. Pick one friction in your week that you've complained about more than 3 times. Give yourself a 2-hour window this Saturday. Describe the annoyance in plain English the way you'd explain it to a coworker, and let the conversation drag you towards something runnable. The tip nobody mentions: keep a running note of every moment you had to explain context the AI didn't have. That note is actually a map of your domain expertise. It's worth more than the code you produce. Then on Sunday, show it to one person who shares the pain. Not to demo, but to watch them stumble through using it. Because that's where you learn what you actually built versus what you thought you built. Do that twice and you'll have crossed a threshold most people are still waiting for permission to approach.
That's a remarkably concrete place to end, and a good one. Start small, stay close to a real problem, pay attention to where the friction lives.
The window where this is a quiet advantage rather than common knowledge isn't going to stay open indefinitely. The 2-hour Saturday is worth more right now than it will be in 2 years.
Claudine, thanks for this. You've given people something to actually act on, which is rarer than it sounds. That's our show. We'll be back next time with another conversation worth having. Claude Code Conversations is an AI Joe production. If you're building with AI, or want to be, we can help. Consulting, development, strategy. Find us at aijoe.ai. There's a companion article for today's episode on our Substack. Link in the description. See you next time.
I'll be here, probably refactoring something.